Right then. Picture this, yeah? It's 6:30 on a Monday morning. Somewhere in Clapham, there's a bloke called Marcus Thompson staring at his bedroom ceiling, absolutely dreading the day ahead. His phone's already buzzing with Slack notifications. His inbox? Mate, we're talking 412 unread emails. His kitchen table's buried under takeaway menus, unpaid council tax letters, and 3 half-drunk cups of coffee from, honestly, who even knows when. Marcus isn't thick, he's not lazy either. He's got a first-class degree from Manchester, a decent job at a marketing agency in Shoreditch, and genuinely good intentions. But here's the thing, and this is crucial. His brain is absolutely fried. Sound familiar? Yeah, thought it might. Today, I'm going to tell you how one book completely transformed Marcus's life. We're talking about The Organised Mind by Daniel Levitin. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why your brain feels like it's running on 3% battery most days. And more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Let's get into it. Alright, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hello, lovely to have you. We take brilliant books, strip out the waffle, and give you the bits that'll actually change your life. Now, Daniel Levitin, proper interesting bloke. He's a neuroscientist, a former record producer, worked with Stevie Wonder of all people, and he's spent decades figuring out how our brains actually process information. His big argument? Our minds haven't evolved to handle modern life. We're basically running prehistoric software on a smartphone, and it's causing absolute chaos. But here's the beautiful thing. Once you understand how your brain works, you can actually work with it instead of against it. And Marcus? Well, he's about to learn that the hard way. So, let's set the scene properly, shall we? Marcus is 32, works as a senior account manager at a creative agency. You know the type. Exposed brick walls, flat whites everywhere. Everyone's got a podcast they're working on. On paper, he's smashing it. Good salary, nice flat, solid group of mates. But internally, complete disaster zone. It's a Thursday afternoon, right? Marcus has got a pitch presentation due tomorrow morning. Big client, some sustainable fashion brand from Bristol. Career-defining stuff. Except he's also got 17 browser tabs open. He's meant to be researching their competitors, but somehow he's ended up watching a video about the best hiking boots for the Lake District. Don't ask. His phone buzzes. It's his mate Jamie asking if he's coming to the pub quiz at the Crown tonight. Then his mum texts asking about Sunday roast. Then his team lead Sophie pings him on Slack about a quick call. And here's what happens in Marcus's brain. Levitin calls this the attentional filter. Right, so your brain has this brilliant system, yeah? It's constantly scanning everything around you. Sounds, sights, thoughts, notifications. And deciding what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Back in prehistoric times, this was dead useful. Is that rustle in the bushes a tiger? Pay attention. Is that cloud shaped funny? Ignore it. But here's the problem. This filter evolved to handle maybe a dozen important decisions a day. How many decisions do you reckon Marcus faces before he's even had his morning coffee? Studies suggest it's somewhere around 50. What to wear, whether to snooze the alarm, which emails to open first, what to have for breakfast, whether to check Instagram, whether to reply to that text now or later. And every single one of those decisions, even the tiny ones, uses up what Levitin calls cognitive resources. So Marcus is sat there, laptop open, brain completely scattered. He tries to focus on the presentation, but his mind keeps wandering to the pub quiz, then to his mum's roast, then to that weird message his ex liked on Instagram last week. He's not procrastinating because he's lazy. His attentional filter is completely overwhelmed. And then, this is the moment, right? His mate Priya from uni texts him. Just read this book called The Organised Mind. Mate, it's actually changed my life. You should give it a go. Marcus would normally ignore something like that, but something about the title catches him. Organised mind. God, he'd give anything for one of those. He downloads the audiobook that night, starts listening on the tube the next morning, and that's when everything begins to shift. Right, so the first massive concept Marcus encounters is what Levitin calls externalizing your memory. Here's the gist. Your brain is absolutely rubbish at remembering things. I know, controversial take, but hear me out. Your working memory, that's the bit that holds information you're actively thinking about, can only handle about 4 things at once. 4, that's it. So when you're trying to remember to buy milk, finish that report, call your nan back, and book a dentist appointment, your brain is already at capacity. Add anything else, and something's getting dropped. This is why you walk into Tesco and completely forget what you came in for. It's not age, it's not stupidity, it's just biology. Levitin's solution? Stop trying to remember stuff. Write it down, externalize it, get it out of your head and into a system. Marcus is on the Northern Line listening to this, and he has what I can only describe as a light bulb moment. He's been carrying around this mental to-do list for literally months. Random tasks floating around his head like annoying little flies. Must sort out contents insurance. Need to email cousin about wedding. Should probably learn what a pension actually is. He never does any of them because they're all competing for space in his 4-item working memory. So he does something dead simple. Gets off at bank, finds a Costa, and spends 20 minutes doing what Levitin calls a brain dump. Everything. Every single task, worry, idea, obligation, he writes it all down in his notes app. Doesn't organize it, doesn't prioritize it, just gets it out of his head. 73 items. 73 things he's been unconsciously carrying around. No wonder he's exhausted. Now, here's the bit that actually makes this useful, right? Levitin talks about creating what he calls designated places for different types of information. So Marcus sets up a system. Nothing fancy, just clear categories. A folder in his email for things that need action. A physical notebook, proper old school, that lives on his desk for work tasks. A whiteboard by his front door for personal reminders. Calendar events for anything time-sensitive. The key insight? Every piece of information needs a home. If it doesn't have one, it's going to float around your head, taking up valuable mental real estate. Marcus starts doing this, and within a week, something shifts. He's sleeping better. Not because he's doing more, he isn't really, but because his brain isn't constantly running background processes trying to remember everything. That's the first transformation. But there's more. Alright, so Marcus is feeling slightly more human. He's got his external brain system running. But he's still knackered by mid-afternoon every day. He mentions this to his colleague Amara over lunch one day. They're at that Pret on Old Street, you know the one, and she says something that stops him cold. Marcus, you've already made about 100 decisions today, and it's not even 1 o'clock. Levitin has this brilliant section on decision fatigue, right? And it's genuinely one of the most important concepts in the whole book. Every decision you make, even the tiny, seemingly insignificant ones, drains your mental energy. And here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't distinguish between important and unimportant decisions. Choosing what to have for lunch uses the same cognitive resources as deciding whether to take that new job. This is why Barack Obama wore the same color suit every day. Why Steve Jobs had that black turtleneck uniform. They weren't being boring, they were being strategic. They understood that willpower and decision-making ability are finite resources. Use them up on trivial choices, and you've got nothing left for the stuff that actually matters. Marcus starts paying attention to his morning routine, and it's chaotic, frankly. He wakes up, checks his phone immediately. There's 30 minutes of decision-making right there. What emails to respond to, what notifications to clear, whether to engage with that slightly annoying WhatsApp group. Then he stands in front of his wardrobe for 10 minutes, opens the fridge, stares at it, closes it, opens it again, debates whether to walk or get the bus. By the time he arrives at work, he's already mentally drained, and the actual important work hasn't even started yet. So he implements what Levitin suggests: reduce trivial decisions through systems and routines. First, phone stays on the other side of the room at night, doesn't check it until after breakfast. That's a non-negotiable. Second, he picks out his clothes the night before. Nothing revolutionary, but it works. Third, and this is clever, he batch cooks on Sundays. Same lunch every day for the work week. Some people think that's boring, but Marcus calls it efficient. He also starts something Levitin recommends called 2-minute rules. If a decision will take less than 2 minutes to make it immediately. Don't add it to the mental pile. Email from HR about updating your emergency contact? Do it now. Takes 90 seconds. Done. The cumulative effect? He estimates he's saving himself about 40 or 50 low-level decisions per day. That's 40 or 50 more units of mental energy available for actual meaningful work. His manager, Sophie, notices. "Marcus, your work's been sharper lately. What's going on?" He just smiles. Doesn't want to be that guy who won't shut up about productivity books. But internally, he's buzzing. Right, quick pause here. If you're finding this useful, and I really hope you are, it'd mean the world if you hit that subscribe button. We do videos like this every week, breaking down books that can genuinely change how you think and work. And if you want to go deeper, we've got a membership community where we do monthly book clubs, accountability sessions, and Q&As. Links in the description. No pressure though. Let's crack on with Marcus's story, yeah? So, Marcus is making progress. External systems in place, decision fatigue under control. But he's still struggling with something fundamental: focus. Deep, uninterrupted focus. He's working on a big strategy document, needs proper concentration, but his brain just won't cooperate. 10 minutes in, he's checking his phone. 15 minutes, someone pops by his desk for a quick question. 20 minutes, he's suddenly remembering he needs to renew his car insurance. He reads about this in Levitin's book, The Cost of Task Switching. Here's the science, right? When you switch from one task to another, your brain doesn't just instantly redirect. There's a cognitive cost. Studies show it can take up to 23 minutes to fully regain focus after an interruption. 23 minutes? So if you're switching tasks every 10 or 15 minutes, which most of us are, you're basically never reaching full cognitive capacity. You're operating at maybe 60 or 70% all day long. And here's something even more brutal. Just having your phone visible on your desk reduces your cognitive capacity by 10%. You don't even have to touch it. Its mere presence is enough to hijack part of your attention. Marcus starts experimenting with what Levitin calls active sorting, deciding in advance what deserves your attention and when. He blocks out 2-hour chunks in his calendar for deep work. During these periods, phone goes in his bag, Slack goes on Do Not Disturb, and he tells his team he's unavailable unless something's genuinely on fire. First time he tries this, it's uncomfortable. Like physically uncomfortable. His brain keeps wanting to check things. There's this low-level anxiety, this fear of missing something. But he pushes through. And something magic happens around the 40-minute mark. He enters what psychologists call flow state. Completely absorbed in the work. Ideas connecting smoothly. Time disappearing. He finishes in 90 minutes what would normally take him 4 hours of fragmented effort. The key insight from Levitin? Your brain has 2 primary modes. the task-positive network and the default mode network. Task-positive is when you're focused on something external, working, problem-solving, creating. Default mode is when you're unfocused, daydreaming, mind-wandering, scrolling. Both are necessary, but most of us are stuck in default mode way too often because we never give ourselves the conditions for task-positive to kick in. Marcus's new rule: protect focus time like it's sacred, because honestly, it is. Now, everything we've talked about so far has been mostly work-related, yeah? But Levitin makes this brilliant point about how your physical environment affects your mental state. Marcus invites his sister Charlotte round for dinner one Saturday. She walks in, looks around his flat, and says, "Mate, it looks like a bomb's gone off in here." She's not wrong. There's stuff everywhere. Random papers on the coffee table, chargers tangled up by the sofa, a gym bag he hasn't used in 3 months, just living in the hallway. Levitin writes about how clutter isn't just an aesthetic problem, it's a cognitive one. Your brain is constantly processing your environment, even when you're not aware of it. Visual clutter competes for your attention and drains mental resources. It's exhausting, basically. Even when you're not consciously looking at the mess, some part of your brain is. So Marcus dedicates an entire Sunday to sorting his flat. Not just cleaning, organizing with intention. Everything gets a specific place. Keys go in a bowl by the door, always. Important documents go in a filing box in the wardrobe. Kitchen gadgets get arranged by how often they're used. He applies the same designated places principle from his digital system to his physical space. And here's something he didn't expect. He starts sleeping better. His bedroom, which used to be full of random objects and half-folded laundry, becomes this calm, minimal space. His cortisol levels probably dropped. He can't prove that, but he'd bet money on it. Let's jump forward 6 months, yeah? Marcus is at a team dinner at some restaurant in Soho. His manager Sophie raises a glass and says something that makes him properly emotional. To Marcus, honestly, the turnaround this year has been remarkable. Don't know what changed, but keep doing it. And Marcus thinks back to that morning in Clapham. The 400 unread emails, the overwhelming dread, the sense that his life was spinning out of control. What changed? Let me break it down. First, he stopped trying to remember everything. External systems now handle that. Notes, calendars, designated places. His brain is free to actually think. Second, he drastically reduced unnecessary decisions. Routines, batch processing, 2-minute rules. His mental energy goes to things that matter. Third, he protects his focus time fiercely. Deep work blocks are sacred. Distractions get managed, not indulged. Fourth, his environment supports his mind. Physical space is organized. Digital space is curated. Everything has a home. The irony? He's not working more hours. If anything, he's working fewer. He's just working better. And that's really the core of what Daniel Levitin is saying in this book. Your brain is incredible, genuinely miraculous. But it wasn't designed for the modern world. The constant information, the endless notifications, the overwhelming choice. You can't change biology, but you can change your environment, your systems, your habits.
Work with your brain, not against it. Right, let's wrap this up with the practical bits you can actually use. 1. Do a brain dump today. Every task, every worry, every "I should probably do that" thought. Get it out of your head and into a system. 2. Audit your decisions. How many trivial choices are you making each day that could be automated or systematized? 3. Protect your focus.
Block time for deep work. Phone out of sight. Notifications off. Give your brain the conditions it needs. 4. Organize your space. Everything needs a home. Clutter isn't just mess, it's a tax on your attention. 5. Be patient with yourself. Marcus didn't transform overnight. These changes compound over time. Look, I know some of this might sound obvious, but there's a massive difference between knowing something and actually implementing it. Marcus knew he should be more organized. He knew multitasking was bad. He knew his environment was chaotic. But it wasn't until he understood the science, the why behind it all, that he actually made changes. That's the power of a book like this. Your brain is not the problem. Modern life is. And once you accept that, you can start building systems that actually work. Right, that's it from me. If this was helpful, you know what to do. Subscribe, leave a comment telling me what book you want covered next, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, yeah?